Thank you, Mr. President. Let me begin by thanking Gabon for organizing a debate on this significant topic today. I also thank the United Nations Secretary General for his invaluable insights. Mr. President, cooperation between the United Nations and regional organizations is a cardinal principle for the maintenance of international peace and security enshrined in Chapter 8 of the United Nations Charter. The Charter also provides a broad framework for this Council's cooperation with regional organizations. This partnership assumes further significance in the context of Africa, when more than half of the issues in the agenda of the Council and nearly 70% of Chapter 7 mandate resolutions pertain to Africa. Peace and security, being an important pillar of the AU's Africa's Agenda 2063, has further strengthened this cooperation. Mr. President, the Council will agree that no one can understand Africa better than our African brothers and sisters themselves. We've seen from history that offering external solutions to African problems without African involvement has not served the interests of the African people. Therefore, meaningful and effective engagement with African sub-regional organizations and mechanisms should constitute an integral component of the UN-AU cooperation. The East African Community, the Economic Community of West African States, the Economic Community of Central African States, the Southern African Development Community, the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, among others, have also bolstered the efforts of the African Union in preventive diplomacy and mediation efforts. Mr. President, my country supports enhancement of cooperation between the UN and AU that could mutually benefit both the organizations in a meaningful way. In this context, let me flag the following issues for this Council's consideration. First, the activities of the United Nations, the African Union, and sub-regional organizations should complement each other while keeping their respective core mandates intact. Collective efforts should be geared towards regional diplomacy, mediation, reconciliation, and security sector reforms for securing lasting peace in the continent. Second, terrorist outfits like armed groups deserve the priority attention of the Council in their response to addressing security threats confronting Africa today. In the Sahel and throughout the Lake Chad Basin region, as well as in Somalia and beyond, African states face persistent threats of terrorism from groups affiliated with the Al-Qaeda and Daesh. National and regional security forces are the prime responders to combat terrorism. Capacity constraints and lack of financial resources have, however, become major impediments in the fight against terrorism. Initiatives such as ATMIS, the G5 Sahel Joint Force, the South African Development Community Mission in Mozambique, and the Multinational Joint Task Force need more encouragement from the international community. Third, the Security Council needs to work with the African Union's Peace and Security Council to strengthen financing mechanisms for African-led peace support operations authorized by the Security Council. We endorse the call of the Secretary General to support African Union-led peace support operations and regional counter-terrorism operations with sustained financing, including through assessed contributions. Fourth, peace-building initiatives in Africa deserve the unwavering attention of the international community, major donors, in particular developed countries, and the international financial institutions should ramp up their overseas development assistance commitments and eliminate barriers to concessional financing to the economies of Africa so that they can indeed achieve the developmental goals enshrined in the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, as well as Agenda 2063. Fifth, UN peacekeeping operations and special political missions in Africa need to be appropriately mandated and resourced. Our experience in peacekeeping in Africa shows that such missions often struggle to implement ambitious and under-resourced mandates. Furthermore, peacekeeping missions should have a clear and well-thought-out exit strategy prepared in consultation with national and regional stakeholders. Sixth, this Council needs to move way beyond mere lip service to meet Africa's concerns. Africa's continuing denial of representation in the permanent category of membership in this Council is a historical injustice that needs to be corrected sooner than later. India has consistently called for urgent UNSC reforms to ensure that Africa's aspirations, as outlined in the Esselvini Consensus and the CERT Declaration, are honored. Mr. President, India and Africa share a unique, historical, and time-tested friendship. Since the 1960s, Indian peacekeepers have served in 22 missions in Africa so far. Currently, Indian peacekeepers are serving in 8 UN peacekeeping missions in the African continent. India has also contributed towards the training and capacity building of peacekeepers from Africa. India believes that Africa's rise is essential for true multipolarity in the global order that we are committed to. We have always worked with Africa as per Africa's priorities, both through bilateral and multilateral mechanisms. Even as we meet our own development targets, this tradition of South-South solidarity continues to strengthen. For India, partnership with Africa is and will remain a top priority. In enunciating the 10 guiding principles in his address to the Ugandan Parliament in 2018, the Prime Minister of India had said, and I quote, "If this is to be an age when the light of opportunity dawns on all humans, if this is a time when our planet has a more hopeful future, then all of this magnificent continent of Africa must walk in step with the rest of the world. India will stand in solidarity with Africa's endeavors, in transparency, with respect, and on the principle of equality. We will speak for you and with you," unquote. Thank you, Mr. President.